In the headlines, People's Democratic Party files suit seeking removal of Governor Bello Matawalle. Multinational Joint Task Force troops neutralize 20 terrorists in Borno. Nigeria bans foreigners from buying agriculture produce directly from farmers. And on the foreign scene, over 250 people are forced to flee their homes after Mount Merapi erupts on Thursday in Indonesia. Hello and welcome to Trust TV News Update. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Now the news in full. A federal high court in Abuja has fixed April 7th for hearing of the suit seeking for the removal of Governor Bello Matawalle of Zamfara State by the People's Democratic Party, PDP, over his defection. Justice Yang Eko on Thursday fixed the suit following an application for joinder and the submission of lawyers in the matter. The lawyers to the defendants, led by Mike Ezehome, also sought for an extension of time to file their responses to the matter. In the application, the PDP asked the court to declare the impeached Deputy Governor Mahdi Gusau as the duly elected governor of Zamfara State. PDP is also seeking the court to sack about 37 members of the National Assembly and the State Assembly who defected to the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC. Meanwhile, in the originating summons by its lawyer, Emmanuel Ukala, PDP is seeking a declaration that sequel to the Supreme Court judgment of 2019 in APC and another senator, Kabiru Marafa, and 179 others, only members of the PDP, including Matawalle, then, were entitled to hold the office of governor and deputy governor or member of the Zamfara State House of Assembly. Independent National Electoral Commission Resident Electoral Commissioner in Adamawa State, Kasim Gaidam, says the commission has registered a total of 111,762 voters across the 21 local government areas of the state under the ongoing continuous voter registration exercise, which commenced on June 28th last year. Gaidam said while briefing newsmen on activities ahead of the 2023 elections. The report.
As the countdown to the 2023 general elections intensify, the nation's electoral body, the Independent National Electoral Commission, in line with its constitutional mandate of conducting the registration of persons qualified to vote, prepare, maintain, and revise the register of voters, is here providing an update on the continuous voter registration exercise embarked upon since June the 28th last year in Adamawa. Resident Electoral Commissioner INEC Adamawa State, Kasim Gaidam, said the commission has so far registered a total of 111,762 voters across the 21 local government areas of Adamawa State as at March 7th, 2022.
For the 2023 general elections are gathering momentum also here in Adamawa State. And this was kicked off in earnest as indicated above on the 28th of June with the commencement of the continuous voter registration exercise, first online and later on the 19th of July 2021 in person at the state office and INEC offices across the 21 local government areas of the state. As at 7th March 2022, a total of 111 online registrants were recorded, with 83,395,000 having completed their registration. Other milestones recorded include 2,983 reviews, 9,512 information updates, 14,000 transfers, 3,427 PVC collections, 5,147 card loss, 2,032 defense cards for replacements, and 454 special registration for people with disability.
And now to matters of security, where terrorists in 5 gun trucks were intercepted by Cameroonian troops at the border crossing into Nigeria, killing over 20 insurgents and recovered gun trucks. Reports say the incident took place at Amchide village around Bama local government area of Borno State. The insurgents were intercepted by Cameroonian troops under the Multinational Joint Task Force on Wednesday, while some of them fled with gunshot wounds. In another development, a reported clash between the Islamic State for West Africa Province, ISWAP, and Boko Haram faction left 9 dead. According to reports, the incident, which occurred in Abadam local government area of Borno State, is coming barely 48 hours after a clash by the groups left 30 dead in Dikwa town, about 100 kilometers from Maiduguri. The ISWAP faction is said to have ambushed their rival Boko Haram group at Yaumawango village, where they engaged each other in a deadly shootout. Meanwhile, Kebbi State Governor Samaila Yombe said he escaped bandits' attack in Kanya Waji district of Danko Wasagu local government area, but not kidnapped as being rumored. The Deputy Governor, a retired Army colonel, regularly visits the area to monitor military operations tackling banditry. Recounting his ordeal to newsmen in Birnin Kebbi, he said the encounter with the bandits could have been catastrophic if not for divine providence and the professionalism displayed by the military.
We can see you at home now.
that was a big joke. Honestly, the closest any bandit had gotten to me is the range of 600 meters or more in terms of contact militarily. I am at home, as you can see, health and healthy, alhamdulillah. There was no threat apart from, yes, I've been shot at. And that is a different thing. But for a bandit to hold me captive, that's not even in a dream. My thanks go to Allah for that. We saw them in thousands of them, but I can assure you that there was nothing close to that. There was nothing like that. As for being shot at, that has happened many times before. But for anybody like bandit to say, I mean, that is frivolous. That's not all.
That's right. So you are calling on people to disregard that statement.
I mean, that is funny. I mean, people should not believe what others say. A lot of people nowadays want to say something that they think people would like to hear. Oh yeah, the deputy governor has been captured by bandits. My goodness, the bandits will be looking for millions. No, I'm as free as a bird.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. So tell anybody that.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
That's okay.
Security aid attached to the Deputy Governor, ASP Idris Umar Libata, and 18 military operatives were killed during the encounter. Meanwhile, stakeholders in Borno State want the federal government to adopt policies that will facilitate complete surrender of insurgents in the northeast. They also recommended improved funding to meet up the expectations of both victims and repentant fighters. This, among other advice, was made at a policy dialogue titled Reconstruction and Reintegration as a means to enhancing sustainable peace and security in Borno State, convened by the Peace Ambassadors Center for Humanitarian Aid and Empowerment. The report.
Beside the massive destructions and loss of lives, the havocs of insurgency has destabilized peace and sparked fears and tensions in the entire northeast. The 13 years conflict has seen continuous security operations that had resulted to surrender of some terrorists in Borno State. This ongoing development has already prompted the call for rehabilitation and integration of these fighters to the society. The gathering of stakeholders is to come up with homegrown policies and practice change that will complement and support the efforts of the government in ensuring effective, efficient and sustainable reconstruction and reintegration process in Borno State.
The theatre on its part will continue to ensure that a stable environment is put in place so that what the special advisor to the governor said, the state will have a sustainable peace where each and everybody can move about his lawful activities.
When people say they will integrate ex-combatant to this community, they feel somehow. But when you go to the same corridor, you will see how those people have been radicalized. There is a process. So we are witnesses. So this thing should be advocated out.
We need modern
policy formulation techniques where we see our strengths, our weaknesses, our opportunities, our threats in SWOT analysis, and to carry along the traditional institution, because it has to be a bottom-up approach.
After a concluded dialogue and paper presentations, the Peace Ambassador Center for Humanitarian Aid and Empowerment in its communique wants a community sensitization and acceptance of defectors, as well as improved resources that will satisfy insurgent victims and defectors.
We want the government to employ the best practices that is happening in other countries. The best practices is you don't only empower the perpetrator and they leave the victim. The international standard is 1 to 3. When you empower one repentant, you empower 3 members of the community, or you now rebuild community so that it will serve as a healing process.
It is hoped that if the resolutions are implemented, it will curb risks and vulnerability and most especially build resilience and sustain peace in the Northeast.
And bandits have killed 3 locals and abducted 2 women in an attack on Fumigi Street in Ungwangaladima, Gwanungora, Chikun local government area of Kaduna State. Chairman of the Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN, Reverend Joseph Hayab, stated this in Kaduna on Thursday. He said the bandits raided the community in the early hours of Thursday. He said the bandits now kill their victims to put fear in the people. Passengers are feared dead in multiple crashes along the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. Spokesperson of the Federal Road Safety Corps, Ogun Command, Florence Okwe, confirmed the incident on Thursday in a terse statement. She said the incident involved 2 vehicles and a fuel tanker, which went up in flames around the Mountain of Fire and Miracles Ministry Prayer City outward section of the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. Lagos-Ibadan Expressway is notorious for road crashes, as it has claimed at least 30 lives this year. You're watching Trust TV News Update. Coming up after the break, financing family planning to boost healthcare services. This and more after the break. Do stay with us.
This is Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back. You're still watching Trust TV News Update. Now a look at our top stories. The Federal High Court in Abuja has fixed April 7th for hearing on the suit seeking the removal of Governor Bello Matawalle of Zamfara State by the People's Democratic Party over his defection. And terrorists in 5 gun trucks were intercepted by the Cameroonian troops at a border crossing into Nigeria, killing over 20 insurgents and recovered gun trucks. And moving on to other stories, Nigeria Center for Disease Control says it has recorded 84 new COVID-19 infections in 5 states and the Federal Capital Territory. The agency's data shows 98 people were discharged after they recovered. Meanwhile, no death was reported on Wednesday, making it the 19th day with no fatalities. With the new figure, Nigeria now has recorded 254,861 cases, 249,307 recoveries, and 3,142 fatalities across the country. Similarly, the United Nations Children's Fund and the World Bank says about 2/3 of households with children lost income since the inception of the COVID-19 pandemic. The report noted that reduced earnings have put parents in a position where their children are going without food for a day or more. Still talking health, medical experts have urged governments at all levels to key into private and public partnership in promoting financing for family planning and integrated health services as a model for revitalizing Nigeria's healthcare delivery system. The experts gave the advice at the 38th Annual Scientific Conference organized by the Association of Public Health Physicians of Nigeria, supported by Development Research and Project Center and funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation in Ilorin, Kwara State. The report.
Nigeria ranked 7th in the world population ranking with over 200 million people as at the last national census. The need for family planning is being canvassed by most governments of the world. The Association of Public Health Physicians of Nigeria is meeting in Ilorin, Kwara State on how the government could partner with private sectors to enhance funding of family planning in the country. Some of the panelists highlight the challenges in funding family planning in the country.
As part of the mandate of Association of Public Health Physicians, we are involved in all aspects of health, the funding, the health promotion, the health prevention, and what have you. So we feel that funding for health, if you agree with me, the percentage of the national budget dedicated to health is so small, compared to the dwindling health indices of the populace.
In 2017, to financing family planning for the goal of achieving a 27% modern contraceptive prevalence rate. So far, Nigeria's inability to meet its CPR national objective may be connected to its inability to meet its financial commitment through its annual budgetary allocation and releases for family planning.
Pharmacists Council believes the training being offered its members will go a long way.
The private and public sector is an idea whose time has actually come. And in our discussion so far, we have a lot of evidences on ground about what we have done as a regulatory body, the Pharmacists Council of Nigeria, in this direction to ensure the adequate engagement of our private sector healthcare providers.
And there's a saying that when there is no doctor, people will appoint a doctor for themselves. So these are people that are providing services in the community, and over the years we have neglected them. Now we're in a situation right now where we know that the country wants to achieve universal health coverage. And if we're talking about universal health coverage, you want to reach everyone with quality health services, irrespective of their location, their age, their sexual orientation, irrespective of where they are. And we know that government alone can't do that. The public sector alone can't achieve that. Meanwhile, you will always find a PPMV in a community. And the same thing applies to all the healthcare services that will. It's not just for the PPMVs to service old people. Sexual activities take place everywhere.
Who should be concerned about policies of the government, particularly policies that concern the Federal Ministry of Health?
Exactly.
Let it be that we have, if it could be the leadership of this association that should constantly interface with the Federal Ministry of Health to get to know the happenings without having to wait for forums like this, so that you can be a contributor to things that shape and changes the policy direction or environment within the health sector.
The meeting raised questions and recommendations on how to ensure funding for family planning by governments at all levels.
And still talking health, United Nations Children Fund, UNICEF, donates medical drugs worth over $200,000 to the Borno State government. The essential drugs include antimalarials, analgesics, antibiotics, and other equipment. The gesture is meant to help ensure that newborns, children, lactating mothers, and pregnant women receive quality health care. The chief of Maiduguri Field Office of UNICEF said that the intervention is to cushion the effects of Northeast terrorist conflict impact, which has contributed to the spread of diseases.
Very much linked to the life and the health condition of the mother. And so for us, we look at that child in a very holistic manner, because a good start to life means good health. And once we have that, and survival is very important for us. So in handing over these essential drugs, we are very hopeful, and we know that the Borno State health authorities now have essential drugs that will go to all the primary health centers And so this will help mothers, it will help pregnant women, it will help lactating mothers, newborns, and girls and boys under the age of 5 to access basic essential drugs closest health facilities closest in their community.
With all these things, without the drugs and consumables and other equipment, there's no way we can really integrate the primary healthcare services or the primary healthcare centers under one roof. So this is going a long way in assisting the government because we've procured a lot of drugs for the mothers, and UNICEF have added one of the children to us, which we are very, very happy. And they are sort of reminding us that whenever we are going to make the next procurement, we also have to think along the mothers and the children at the same time. So whenever we are procuring for the mothers, we also have to make provision for the children. So it is very, very great. And I think this is the first presentation I'm getting with so much drugs and other consumables. So
the Federal Executive Council has approved a memo prepared to promote agribusiness in Nigeria through right farm gate pricing and ban on foreigners and their representatives from purchasing agricultural commodities at the farm gates. Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment Otumba Adebayo said this on Wednesday while briefing State House reporters after the Federal Cabinet meeting presided over by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo at the Council chambers of the Presidential Villa in Abuja.
One of the memos was for the promotion of agribusiness in Nigeria through right farm gate pricing and a ban on foreigners and their representatives from purchasing agricultural commodities at the farm gates. As you're all aware, this memo was necessitated by the need for government to establish an appropriate mechanism that would not only protect our farmers in terms of achieving the right prices for their goods, for their commodities, but also ensure that they have the appropriate incentives and the needed encouragement to guarantee their continued participation in the farming business. Over the years, foreigners have been going to the farm gates and buying produce from the farmers at low prices, thus incentivizing the farmers from continuing with their trade. So we finally got approval from FEC today for only licensed local buying agents who must be registered by the relevant national commodity associations. They are the ones who now will be able to buy goods directly from the farmers for on-selling to the foreigners. This way, the farmers are will no longer be cheated by these foreigners who just throw money at them and are able to buy their goods.
Nigeria's oil production dropped in February to an average of 1.25 million barrels per day from 1.39 million from the previous month. The Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission stated this in its latest crude oil and condensate production data for February 2022. The report showed that the drop represented 10% from the January production figure and the lowest since December 2021, when production dropped to 1.1 million barrels per day. The figure also is lower than the 1.8 million barrels per day production quota set by the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC. Since May 2020, Nigeria has been struggling between 1.4 million and 1.1 million barrels per day of oil output, causing a huge drop in monthly allocation to the Federation account. Now look at the international scene, where Indonesian authorities say over 250 people are forced to flee their homes after Mount Merapi erupted on Thursday. Head of Indonesia's National Disaster Management and Mitigation Agency, Abdul Mohari, said the volcano, one of the most active in the world, erupted multiple times overnight, spewing gas, volcanic ash and rocks that flowed over 5 kilometers down its slopes. Residents have been told to steer clear of an area spanning 7-kilometer radius surrounding Merapi's crater over warnings of lava and airborne volcanic material. Mount Merapi is on its second highest alert level since November 2020 after showing renewed activity. Its last major eruption in 2010 killed more than 300 people and forced the evacuation of around 280,000 residents from the surrounding areas. And the United Kingdom has seized all assets of Chelsea FC owner Roman Abramovich. He is one of 7 oligarchs hit with fresh sanctions, including asset freezes and travel bans over Russian invasion of Ukraine. Also affected are Russian billionaires Igor Sechin and Oleg Deripaska, both seen as allies of Vladimir Putin. Prime Minister Boris Johnson said there can be no safe havens for those who have supported the invasion. Abramovich, who is 55, is alleged to have strong ties to Russian President Vladimir Putin, which he has denied. But the government believes Abramovich, who has an estimated net worth of £9.4 billion, is one of the few oligarchs from the 1990s to maintain prominence under Putin. Under the sanctions, Chelsea will operate as a club with a special charity license. The proposed sale of the club by Abramovich has also been stopped, but the clubs will not be able to sell new tickets for games or sign new players. And that wraps up Trust TV News Update for this hour. Don't forget, you can subscribe and follow us across all our social media platforms. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Thanks for joining us.